Sometimes, I wonder what it would feel like to be seen, not just looked at, not scrolled past. Not used, but seen in a way that makes your heart feel warm and safe. Do you ever spy on someone you love, knowing they'll never look back at you the same way? I do. I spy on him sometimes. And I wish I could be important like his other friends. It sounds pathetic, doesn't it? I know it does. But when you've spent your whole life standing in the cold, you'll take any warmth you can get, even if it burns you. My name's Jennifer. I was 18 when this story began, too young to know what kind of scars love can leave. Too hopeful to believe the world could ever be cruel. I'd just gotten out of my first relationship, if you could even call it that. He didn't like me anymore, said I was too much. I remember deleting Tinder that night, swearing I'd never put myself out there again. But then, like an idiot, I came back, because loneliness, it's a hunger that eats you from the inside. That's when I met him. The guy who never made me feel like I was too much. His messages were different, polite, funny, patient, the kind that makes you feel like maybe, just maybe, someone out there gets you. He said he liked my smile in my blurry profile photo. I didn't have many pictures because, honestly, I hated how I looked. My teeth, my skin, my everything, but he said I looked real. Every morning I'd wake up hoping for a message from him. Sometimes he'd text first. Sometimes I'd wait for hours just to see that typing bubble. It's insane how that tiny thing could make my whole chest flutter. I told myself this one was different. I felt like he saw something in me no one else ever did. He told me he liked me. He said it in that half-joking way guys do, like he was testing the waters. But he never asked me out. Instead, he made plans that never happened. Fake plans. Maybe Saturday, he'd say, if work doesn't kill me, and I'd wait. Every single time, I waited. When he didn't show up, I'd lie to myself. Maybe he got busy. Maybe he's shy. Anything but the truth. Because the truth was too painful. He just didn't care enough. But I was good at pretending, good at holding on, good at thinking love was something you could earn if you just gave enough of yourself. And I did. I sent him pictures one night. Pictures I never thought I'd send anyone. He told me I was beautiful, said it made him happy, and in that moment, that's all I wanted, for him to be happy, even if it meant giving pieces of myself away. I told myself it was okay because he liked me, because maybe this would make him stay, but it did, and single quotes days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Silence became a familiar sound. I'd check my phone obsessively, scrolling up through old messages, rereading the jokes, the compliments, every line that made me feel alive once. Then one day, he texted again, just like nothing had happened. And like a fool, I smiled. We met, finally. I remember standing in front of him, thinking he looked like everything I'd ever wanted. Tall, warm eyes, that easy grin. And I thought, this is it. This is the moment it all becomes real. But it never did. He'd hold my hand sometimes, kiss me, whisper that he missed me. But then, he'd vanish again for weeks, sometimes months. No explanation, just gone. It crushed me every single time. But he was all I had to look forward to. I used to stare at myself in the mirror after he'd leave. My short, damaged hair, the acne scars, the awkward smile. I didn't know how to dress, how to look pretty, how to be what someone could love. I was just and somehow, that felt like a crime. But he kept coming back, just enough to keep me hoping, enough to make me believe that maybe, one day, I'd be enough for him to stay. Back then, my heart was still soft. I didn't know what it meant to be broken yet, but he taught me, slowly, patiently, without ever saying a word. I told myself I'd stop talking to him. I even tried once, but the silence without him was worse than the pain with him. So I stayed half alive, half in love, fully trapped. And every time he'd disappear again, I'd find myself scrolling through his socials, looking for hints of him, clues, proof that maybe he thought of me, even once. That's how I found out about her. His ex. The one he said he didn't talk to anymore. The one he said was toxic. She wasn't gone, not even close. They were still going out, still taking photos together, smiling, living. He'd told me he didn't like going out, that he was introverted, that he didn't enjoy doing normal things with people. And there he was doing all of it with her. And that's when something inside me broke. Not loudly, not all at once, but quietly, like glass cracking under pressure. Because it wasn't just love anymore. It was humiliation. And I couldn't even tell anyone. I just watched, silently, pathetically, from the outside, wishing I could be her, wishing I could be anyone but me. After that day, I stopped eating for a while. Not because I wanted to, but because I couldn't. Every time I tried, I'd feel something heavy stuck in my throat, like my body itself was rejecting the truth. He was taking her out. The girl he said was history. I told myself maybe it was old photos. Maybe she was just a friend. Maybe. I used maybe like medicine, just to dull the pain long enough to breathe. But deep down, I knew. Still, I couldn't stop checking. Every morning, I'd open his social media like it was a wound I couldn't help but touch. He'd be smiling in pictures, coffee in hand, arm around friends, sunlight in his hair. He looked so alive, so happy, and I'd whisper to myself, that's the version of him I never got. I used to think I was okay being the quiet one. The girl in the background who texted good morning first, who said I'm proud of you when no one else did, who stayed even when it hurt. I thought that meant loyalty. I thought love was about patience. But now, I realize it was just desperation, dressed as devotion. It was almost funny how easily he could vanish. One day we'd talk for hours about music, about life, about everything and nothing, and the next, nothing. No explanation, no goodbye, just gone. And when he'd come back, he'd say, sorry, things have been hectic lately. I'd pretend to believe him. It's okay. I get it. I'd reply, even though I didn't. Because I knew what hectic really meant. It meant her. It's strange how love changes your brain. How you start twisting reality just to keep the fantasy alive. I'd sit in my room, staring at my phone, rewriting messages 100 times before sending them. Hey, how are you? Sounded too needy. Hope you're okay. Sounded too fake. Every word was a landmine. And when he'd leave me on red, it felt like the world went quiet. I started changing little things about myself. Bought new clothes. Tried to fix my hair. Watched makeup tutorials late at night, trying to make my reflection look like someone he'd want. But every time I caught my own eyes in the mirror, I'd think it doesn't matter what you do, you're still you. And maybe that was the real problem. He never wanted me. He just wanted someone who made him feel wanted. One night, I saw him and his friends at a dessert place, laughing, teasing each other, like a little movie scene. The kind of moment I'd always imagined us having. I stared at the picture until my vision blurred. Then I zoomed in tiny details, like a detective in my own heartbreak. His watch, his hand resting near hers, the same hoodie he wore when he came over last. My mind spiraled. Did he laugh the same way with her? Did he smile like that when I wasn't looking? I didn't even notice when tears started running down my face. And it wasn't the first time. Some nights I'd lie there, holding my phone like it was the only thing keeping me from falling apart. I'd scroll through our old messages, trying to find signs, anything that said he once cared. He'd said things like, you're special to me, or I trust you. But what does that even mean when your actions scream otherwise? The first time he ghosted me for months, I thought maybe he got hurt, maybe something happened. I even messaged his friends anonymously, pretending to be someone else just to check if he was okay. He was fine, more than fine. That was when the jealousy began to rot me from the inside. It wasn't jealousy of her beauty, though she was beautiful. The kind of effortless that makes you feel like a joke. No, it was jealousy of her existence in his world, of how easily she fit into it while I was always on the outside, pressing my face against the glass. I started making up fake reasons to text him, random questions, fake emergencies, accidentally sending a meme, just to remind him I existed. Sometimes he'd reply. Sometimes he wouldn't. But every reply felt like oxygen. You worry too much, Jen, he once said. You overthink everything. He said it like a joke, like I was being dramatic. But what he didn't know is that overthinking was the only way I could survive the silence. Every unread message was a mystery. Every late reply was a test. And I kept failing. My friends told me to move on. They said I was embarrassing myself, that he was never serious about me, but they didn't understand. They didn't see how gentle he could be when he wanted to. The way he'd call me kiddo when I was upset. The way he'd say, "You're safe with me," in that calm voice that made me forget everything else. But that version of him only existed for me when it suited him. And still, I stayed. Because when you've never known what it feels like to be loved, even crumbs feel like a feast. The months dragged on. I lost track of time. My world shrank down to him, his posts, his replies, his moods. I started skipping family dinners, ignoring texts from people who cared. Every ounce of attention I had went to a man who never truly looked back. And one night, while staring at his new picture, I realized something horrifying. He'd added a caption, a line from a song we once shared. Our song. The one he said reminded him of me. He'd posted it for someone else. I remember the exact moment my chest gave out. It was like the floor disappeared under me. I threw my phone away, curled up, and cried into my pillow until my whole body shook. That night, I promised myself I'd stop looking, stop waiting, stop caring. But promises mean nothing when your heart's addicted to pain. So the next morning, I checked again. It's strange how pain can become routine. After a while, it doesn't even shock you anymore. It just hums quietly in the background, like white noise. Weeks passed. I tried to act normal. Tried to convince myself that I didn't care, that I was healing. I even deleted his number once. But I memorized it first. Every digit burned into my mind like a scar I couldn't erase. Every night, my thumb hovered over his profile. I told myself, just one more peek. But one peek always turned into 10. 10 turned into ours. I'd watch his stories, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled, the way he laughed in group photos, and I'd imagine what it felt like to be them, the people in those pictures, the ones who got to exist beside him, instead of behind a screen. He posted once, something about chasing dreams, about not letting anyone hold you back. The caption felt like a knife, disguised as inspiration, because maybe I was the thing holding him back. Maybe I was the mistake he never wanted to acknowledge. That night, I lay awake, staring at my ceiling, feeling my pulse echo in my ears. I couldn't stop picturing him with her, the same girl he told me not to worry about. I tried to block the images, but they came anyway. Him holding her hand, him kissing her forehead, him laughing at her jokes. And me, nowhere. I started keeping a small notebook by my bed. I'd write down everything I wanted to say to him but couldn't. Why did you lie? Why wasn't I enough? Why did you make me believe? It became a ritual. Every page was a piece of me that never made it to him. Sometimes I'd imagine him finding that notebook one day, reading every word, finally realizing what he'd done to me, but I knew he never would, because to him, I was probably just another girl who got too attached. Still, part of me held on to the fantasy that maybe, deep down, he cared. Maybe he thought of me sometimes. Maybe he'd come back. And then one day, he did. It was late, around midnight. My phone buzzed. His name lit up my screen. For a moment, my brain froze. My heart did that stupid flutter thing, like it forgot all the pain and only remembered the thrill. Hey, he wrote. Just that one word. I stared at it for a full minute, then typed back, "Hey." He replied, "It's been a while. How have you been?" I wanted to say, "I've been miserable without you." I wanted to tell him about the nights I cried myself to sleep, the way his silence hollowed me out, but instead, I said, "I'm good." "You?" He said he missed talking to me, that he'd been thinking about me lately, that he was sorry for disappearing. Every word felt like honey poured over old wounds, sweet, but suffocating. He asked if I still had the photos. I hesitated. My stomach turned. When I said yes, he replied, "Can I see one again? Just for old times." That's when it hit me, the truth I'd been avoiding all along. He didn't miss me. He missed the access. I froze, my fingers trembling over the keyboard. For the first time, I didn't reply right away. I sat there, breathing shallow, realizing how predictable I'd become to him. Like a switch, he could flip whenever he was bored or lonely. But before I could stop myself, I typed, "No." The word felt heavy, final, terrifying. He didn't reply, not for hours. Then finally, wow, you've changed. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask, what did you expect me to do? Wait forever? But instead, I just stared at the screen until the typing bubble disappeared, and that was it. He vanished again. But something inside me didn't vanish this time. Something sharp started growing instead, a kind of clarity I'd never felt before. I realized how carefully he had built this illusion, the sweet words, the half-truths, the fake plans. He was never real with me. He only ever gave me enough to keep me hanging on. And I let him still. Even after all that, I couldn't stop watching him. I told myself it was closure, that I just wanted to understand what went wrong. But it wasn't closure. It was addiction. I'd check his followers, his comments, who he tagged, what time he posted. I'd analyze everything like a puzzle I could solve if I just looked hard enough. And one night, I found something. A new girl. Different name. Same pattern. She posted a story, a coffee cup, a song lyric. The same lyric he once sent me. The same exact line. I clicked her profile. Public, pretty, confident, everything. I wasn't. He was already commenting on her posts. Already liking her pictures. My stomach dropped. It was like watching history repeat itself, only now I was the ghost, watching from the sidelines. That's when the realization hit me like a cold wave. I wasn't special. I was just next. I wasn't his one. I was his type. And suddenly, I didn't feel sad anymore. Just empty. I stared at my reflection that night, the same tired eyes, the same damaged hair, the same broken girl who thought love was something you earned through suffering. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. The ugliness wasn't in my face. It was in how little I valued myself. But even knowing that, I couldn't stop wanting him. Because you can't just turn off the thing that destroyed you. Sometimes, you mistake pain for love simply because it's all you've ever known. The night I decided to see him again didn't feel planned. It just happened. It was raining, not a soft drizzle, but that kind of cold, heavy rain that makes the streets look like mirrors. I remember watching the raindrops streak down my window, thinking how strange it was that something so ordinary could look so much like crying. I told myself I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to check where he was. Wasn't going to scroll through tagged photos. Wasn't going to spiral again. But curiosity isn't something you control, it's something that consumes you. Piece by piece, until all that's left is the need to know. That night, he posted a story, just a few seconds long, a restaurant table, 2 drinks, a laugh in the background that wasn't his, and then, him, just a glimpse the curve of his jaw, his hand brushing across the table, and a girl's voice saying, "You always order the same thing." I paused the story. Rewound it, stared at it until my vision blurred. Then I did something I'd promised myself I'd never do again. I grabbed my jacket and left. The city was slick and alive. Streetlights bending in puddles as I walked fast, my heart pounding against my ribs. I didn't know what I was planning to say. I just knew I had to see it. See him. Maybe then I could finally stop imagining, stop hoping, stop hurting. When I reached the restaurant, I froze across the street. The windows were fogged from the rain, but I could still make out the soft golden light inside, the hum of quiet conversations, the clinking of silverware, and there he was. He looked exactly the same, like time hadn't touched him. Laughing, leaning forward, alive in a way he never was with me. Across from him sat a girl, younger, prettier, brighter. She was smiling that effortless smile I used to practice in the mirror. For a long moment, I just stood there, soaked, motionless. My heart wasn't breaking anymore, it was silent. This was it, the truth I'd been running from, the version of him I could never have. I don't even know how long I stood there, maybe minutes, maybe hours. Eventually, the rain started slowing down, and so did my heartbeat. I wasn't angry, not really, just, hello. And then something strange happened. He looked up through the window, right at me. Our eyes met for just a second. He didn't look shocked or guilty, just blank, like I was no one, like I could have been anyone. He turned away, said something to her, and laughed again. That was when it all fell apart. I don't even remember walking home. Just flashes headlights on wet pavement. My reflection in every glass door I passed. A blur of city sounds. I felt like a ghost drifting through a world that didn't even know I was there. When I got home, I sat on the floor in front of my mirror, still dripping wet. I stared at my reflection. Mascara smudged, eyes red, hair clinging to my face. I didn't recognize myself. I whispered, "Who are you?" But the girl staring back didn't answer. I'd spent so long trying to be the version of me he could love that I didn't even know who I was anymore. Days passed after that. Quiet days. I stopped checking his socials, not out of strength, but out of exhaustion. The addiction had burned itself out. I didn't even cry anymore. The tears felt used up. Until one night, my phone buzzed again. His name. My heart still reacted before my brain could stop it. "Hey," he wrote. "You okay?" I stared at it, 3 little words that once could have set my whole world on fire. He followed up, "Saw you the other night. You looked upset. Why were you there?" I almost laughed. Why was I there? As if I hadn't been standing outside his life for years. For a moment, I typed out everything I'd ever wanted to say. How he broke me. How I hated him. How I still loved him. How I wished I'd never met him. But then I deleted it all. Instead, I wrote, "Just coincidence." He sent back a heart emoji. That was the last message I ever got from him, and for the first time, I didn't reply. But silence didn't mean peace. Because even when I stopped looking at him, I couldn't stop seeing him. He was everywhere in the songs we used to share. The streets we never walked together. The rain against my window. Some nights, I'd catch myself opening our old chat, scrolling all the way back to the first message, reading every word like it was a prayer from a different lifetime. It wasn't love anymore. It wasn't even obsession. It was just memory. A haunting. I started deleting things slowly. The pictures, the screenshots, the drafts I never sent, one by one, like cutting invisible strings that had held me hostage. But when I reached the folder with his photos, the real ones, the only proof he ever existed in my world, I couldn't delete them. Not yet. Instead, I moved them into a hidden folder and renamed it Ghosts. And that night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I realized something that chilled me to the bone. I wasn't angry at him anymore. I was angry at myself, because I'd mistaken his silence for mystery, his cruelty for introversion, his manipulation for love. And the scariest part, if he texted me again tomorrow, a part of me knew I'd still want to answer. 5 years passed. Just like that. It's strange how time doesn't feel like healing. It feels like distance, like you've just been walking further and further away from the version of yourself who once waited for a text that would never come. By then, I'd moved to a new city, new apartment, new job. I'd built something that looked like stability, clean walls, neat routines, a version of peace that came in quiet doses. I even started seeing someone, nothing serious, just gentle. He never asked about my past, and I never offered it. It was easier to pretend I'd left it all behind. Until the day it arrived. A box. No return address. No note on top, just my name, written in handwriting I hadn't seen in half a decade. For a moment, my brain refused to connect the dots. My hands were trembling as I picked it up, not from fear, but from something deeper. Recognition. Memory. The weight of it felt wrong, heavy, uneven. I carried it inside, placed it on the table, and just stared at it. Every rational part of me whispered, "Don't open it." But my heart, that stupid, loyal thing, said otherwise. So, I did. Inside were small, neatly wrapped objects, each one labeled with a date and a short note. The first one read, "For the night I made you cry in the car." I froze, my throat tightened as I unwrapped it. Inside was the silver bracelet I'd thrown out of the window that night, the night he'd accused me of flirting with his friend. I remember watching it disappear into the dark, thinking I'd never see it again, but here it was, polished, untarnished, like time hadn't even touched it. The next one said, "For the morning I made you late for work." Inside, my old alarm clock, the one he'd smashed when I'd tried to leave after a fight. I kept unwrapping. Each object was a piece of our past, every argument, every manipulation, every time he made me feel small. wrapped up like a gift. Each one had a note. Each one had an apology. For the time I ignored your calls. For the night I didn't come home. For making you think it was your fault. My heart pounded harder with each one. My living room started feeling smaller, like the walls were closing in. I counted 14 in total. And then, at the very bottom of the box, there was a final note. No wrapping, no item, just a folded piece of paper. The handwriting was unmistakable, careful, deliberate, almost tender. It said, "For leaving you with a version of me that never really existed." I just sat there, staring at the words. My hands went numb. He remembered everything. Every single thing I thought he'd forgotten. For a long time, I didn't move. The silence in the room felt electric, like something waiting to happen. And then I heard it, a soft ding, a notification. I picked up my phone, an unknown number. One message. Did you get it? I felt my stomach drop. No name, no context. But I didn't need one. It was him. 5 years. 5 years of nothing, and now this. I didn't reply. I couldn't, my hands were shaking too much. He sent another. "There's one more thing. Check the bottom of the box." My breath hitched. I turned the box over, empty, except for the brown paper lining dot, but when I peeled it back, there it was. A flash drive, small, silver. No label. My mind screamed, "Don't plug it in," but my heart, my cursed, traitorous heart, needed to know. I slid it into my laptop. One file. A video titled simply, "Before You Forget Me." I hesitated for a full minute before pressing play. The screen flickered, and then, him, older, thinner, eyes hollow in a way I'd never seen before. He was sitting in what looked like a small apartment, staring straight into the camera. "Hey Jen," he said softly. His voice, it hit me like a memory and a wound all at once. "If you're watching this, it means I finally found the courage to face what I did to you." He laughed, short, uneasy. "I don't even know where to start. I've rewritten this 100 times. I thought if I sent you something real, maybe I could give you closure." He looked away, rubbed his face. "You don't owe me forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to exist in your memories anymore. But I want you to know I remember everything. Every lie. Every time I made you question yourself. Every piece of you I broke." He paused. The silence stretched. "I thought I loved you," he said finally, "but I think I just wanted to own you. And when you left, it felt like losing control, not losing love." He swallowed hard, eyes glassy. "I've spent years trying to understand why I did the things I did. Maybe it's guilt. Maybe it's punishment. But this," he gestured toward the camera, "this is me trying to give something back, even if it's just the truth." He leaned closer. "You were never crazy, Jen. You were never too much. You were just trying to love someone who didn't know how to be loved." And then, softly, almost breaking, "I'm sorry." The video cut to black. I sat there, staring at the screen, long after it ended. My reflection flickered back at me in the dark glass, the same way it had 5 years ago, the night I'd asked myself, "Who are you?" But this time, I knew. He hadn't sent that box for forgiveness. He'd sent it to make sure I'd never forget him, to stay in my head, one last manipulation, dressed as closure, and it worked, because even now, I can still hear his voice when I close my eyes for days. The box sat on my table like something alive. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away, but I couldn't touch it either. Every time I walked past it, I felt a strange pull, like it was watching me back. Sometimes I caught myself listening, half expecting to hear his voice through it again, whispering from some corner of my past. The video replayed in my mind like a ghost. I couldn't mute. Every word, every pause, every "I'm sorry." I tried to convince myself it was closure, that it didn't mean anything, but deep down, I knew. That box wasn't a gift, it was an invitation, and I'd accepted it. It started small. Weird noises outside my apartment at night, the faint creak of the hallway floorboards. I told myself it was nothing. Old building, bad insulation. Then, one morning, when I left for work, I noticed the front door lock slightly scratched, like someone had tried to fit a wrong key. I changed the locks, told myself I was being paranoid, But the next day, another package arrived. Smaller, this time, no return address. Same handwriting. Inside. Just one thing. A photograph. It was me. Taken from across the street, through my window. I dropped it instantly. My whole body went cold. At the back of the photo, in small, uneven writing, were 3 words. You kept it. My breath caught. He meant the box. That was when I realized, he wasn't gone. He'd never been gone. He'd been watching, waiting. I tried to call the police, but what would I even say? My ex sent me a gift box, and now I think he's stalking me. They'd tell me to block him. Move on, so I did. I deleted the messages, took the flash drive out of my laptop, shoved everything, the box, the items, the notes, into the closet. But that night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak sounded like footsteps. Every shadow on the wall felt like someone standing there. And then, around 2:13 a.m., I heard it, a knock. Soft, 3 times, right outside my door. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe. Another knock? Louder than silence. I waited. Minutes passed, maybe hours. When I finally looked through the peephole, the hallway was empty. Except, there was something on the floor. A small envelope. I opened the door just enough to grab it and shut it again. My hands were shaking. Inside was another note. No name. Just his handwriting. It said, "You forgot one." My heart stopped. I didn't even notice at first. But when I looked around, the box wasn't where I'd left it. It had moved. Just a few inches. But enough. That was all it took. I packed a bag that night. Stayed with a friend for a few days. Tried to convince myself it was stressed. Coincidence. Anything but what it looked like. Until one morning, my friend handed me her phone. "Jen," she said, "you need to see this." It was a local news post. A man, mid-30s, found dead in a small apartment across town. No foul play suspected. His name was Daniel. The article said they estimated he'd been dead for at least 2 weeks. 2 weeks, which meant, the messages. The box. The knock on my door. All of it happened after he died. My mind refused to process it. I opened the flash drive again, desperate for logic, proof, something. But the file, the video, was gone. In its place was a single new file. "You're welcome." I didn't open it. I deleted everything. Threw the box, the notes, the items, all of it into the river that night. I thought that would end it. But sometimes, late at night, when the rain hits my window, I still hear the faint echo of his voice. "Before you forget me." And for a split second, I swear I see his reflection behind mine in the glass. I wish I could say everything stopped after that night. That throwing the box into the river made the past dissolve with it. But grief, guilt, and obsession, they don't drown that easily. They float. They cling to you, like the scent of something that's burned too deep into the walls to ever wash away. After Daniel's death, I spent weeks in a strange silence. I avoided social media, avoided mirrors, avoided people. Sometimes, I'd catch my reflection and feel a strange disconnect, like I was watching someone else's life, not mine. I didn't know if I missed him or the version of me I was when I loved him. The hopeful, stupid, bright-eyed girl who thought love could fix her broken childhood. The one who thought someone like him could save her. One night, I couldn't sleep again, so I went for a walk. No destination, no plan, just quiet. The city lights blurred in the puddles as I walked, every step echoing with memories I wished I could forget. That's when I noticed the glow. An old phone repair shop still open past midnight. Flickering neon sign. And in the corner of the window, a display of old second-hand phones. For some reason, my eyes locked on one. It looked like mine, same crack on the bottom left corner. I went inside. The man behind the counter looked up. "Help you?" "Yeah," I said softly. "That phone in the window, is it new?" He shook his head. "No. Came in with a bunch of old stuff. Estate sale, I think." "From where?" He shrugged. "No idea." "Why?" But I already knew. That was my old phone. The one I'd lost 2 years ago, the one Daniel used to message me on. When I picked it up, my hands trembled. The screen was wiped clean, but the scratches, the dent, it was mine. I paid for it without another word. That night, I turned it on, it booted up slowly. Glitch, like it was waking from the dead. No SIM card. No data. Just emptiness. Until a single notification appeared. One new message, no sender. No timestamp. I hesitated. Then opened it. It was a video. I recognized the room instantly, his old apartment. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, looking right into the camera. His voice shook when he spoke. If you're seeing this, then I guess I couldn't say goodbye in person. I know I hurt you. I know you'll never forgive me, and I don't deserve it. But you should know, the person you loved wasn't real, not fully. He looked down, then back up, eyes glassy, desperate. The truth is, I never stopped talking to you because I didn't care. I stopped because I did, and because I was sick. I frowned, heart pounding. I didn't tell you, because I didn't want pity. I didn't want you to see me weak. The day I sent the last message, I was in the hospital. I thought maybe I could fix things, make you remember me as something better than what I was. But I guess that's not how ghosts work. He laughed bitterly, then paused. If you're still looking for me, stop. You spent years giving me your love when I gave you nothing. It's time to give it to yourself. He leaned closer. The screen glitched, the image flickered. Delete this. Move on. And please stop spying. There's nothing left to see. Then the screen went black. For a long time, I just sat there. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt hollow. Not from sadness, from understanding. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't good. But for a while, he was real to me, and maybe that's what I'd been chasing. The version of him that existed only in my longing. That night, I walked to the same river where I'd thrown the box. The water was calm, moonlight shimmering like it was breathing. Took a deep breath. Opened the phone one last time. Watched the video replay silently. Then, I dropped it in. And as it sank, I whispered, "Goodbye, Daniel." The next morning felt different. The air was lighter. I looked at myself in the mirror, at the uneven hair, the scars, the quiet eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel ashamed. I wasn't the broken girl waiting for love anymore. I was the girl who survived it. I still check his old profiles sometimes, not to spy, but to remind myself what's gone, because sometimes closure doesn't come in forgiveness. Sometimes, it comes in finally realizing you were never the villain of your own story, just the person who kept hoping too long. But once in a while, late at night, I still hear that voice. Not haunting, not cruel, just familiar. Before you forget me, and I smile. Because now, I finally can. If you were Jennifer, would you have opened the message, or let the past stay buried forever? Comment below and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that cut deep.